We'll close with one. It's entitled Fathers. Fathers are really, really neat if they're godly men and do their very best to stay away from sin. There is just something special about them. They seem to have an inner joy. And that means a lot growing up to a little girl or a boy. And they never seem really worried, though concerned they may be. But whenever a problem arises, on their knees praying is what you will see. And it's nice to have a father who knows the God who created all. For in this great big world we live in, you don't feel quite so small. But now I don't use the term father. Daddy's more personal to me. Fathers can be a little bit stuffy. But now daddies, you can sit on their knee. With daddies, you can talk to them about anything. You can tell them what's on your mind. And whenever you have a problem, why, an answer they can always find. He always seems to know what I'm thinking. Daddy even knows if I've had a bad day. Daddy always knows how to make me feel better. Daddy always knows what to say. Well, I asked my dad about his dad, whom I knew had died years ago. Paused for what seemed an hour. Then he began to answer real slow. He said, my dad was a gentleman. He was firm, but also loving and kind. And sometimes we'd miss him, and in the barn on his knees we'd find. I can still hear Daddy praying. Oh, it didn't sound like a prayer. Well, the way my dad talked to God, you'd think God was just sitting right there. He'd say, oh, I sure do count it a privilege to know someone such as you. For regardless of whatever's happened, you've been there. You brought me through. I'll never forget that night in December when Mama and Daddy both died. And I sat alone for weeks and weeks. And I cried and I cried and I cried. I wanted my life to be over, even though I was only 10. Had no mom and daddy. I wanted my life to end. Then one night you came to me. Oh, I couldn't see you, but I knew you were there. You said, I know your little heart's broken. It's filled with hate and bitterness and despair. For your mom and dad are both gone now. For a little boy, that's such a terrible loss. For I know what it's like for someone to die. For my son died on the cross. But when my son died, he made a way so little boys could have life again. So little boys would never have to be alone. My spirit I'll put within. As a boy of 10, I didn't understand it all. Oh, your compassion I could surely feel. And even though I couldn't see you, oh, there was no doubt to me that you were real. You said I could call you Daddy, and that if I would, it would mean a lot to you. You said that the term father was sometimes stuffy to you too. You said in your book about relationships that this was okay with you, but that even though your Bible said it, you said your children rarely do. But you told me to bring you all of my troubles, my worries, my doubts, and my fears. And you promised that you would never leave me or forsake me through good times or through the tears. And you said I could talk to you about anything. You said nothing is a surprise to me. For regardless of whatever happens, your little heart I can clearly see. You said you'd stick closer than a brother, that you would be there night or day. But we must keep our communication open, for that's the only way. He said, I know you won't always be perfect. Sometimes you'll slip and fall, but just bring it to me and let's discuss it. Just don't avoid me or forget to call, because I have the power to help you to keep you from all wrong. But we must keep our relationship honest, so together we can walk along. Well, my dad stopped talking then. He looked down at me for a while, and he had big tears in his eyes, but on his face he was wearing a smile. He said, the thing I'll treasure the most is when I'd peep through those cracks and see Daddy lifting his hands toward heaven and praising God for me. And then he would ask for wisdom, for patience and love to be the kind of daddy to my boy, the kind of daddy you've been to me. Thank you so much. God bless. We will be adding some more later on. But till next time, God bless.